Good morning. It's about 3:40 a.m. where I am, and yesterday I had the bright idea of saying I should do a video log, and so here I am at 3:40 a.m. doing something crazy probably, probably sharing a little bit of TMI, too much information. It might be preemptively. I'm just trying to self-medicate, and I found the best way to do so is to try and help other people. So maybe that's what I'm trying to do today, getting it off my chest and maybe helping some other people out there who might be struggling. Maybe other people can help me and offer advice, and we'll see. So I guess to start, I have ulcerative colitis. I just got diagnosed on Friday and already missing my life so much. For I guess 2.5 years, I was having some symptoms and nothing was diagnosed, which was part of the frustrating part because you see that there are things happening that probably shouldn't be, and because of your age and because of your health, they don't really look too far to see what is wrong with you and try and get you better. So but luck would have it that by the time they finally had found something, all the symptoms had left, which was really reassuring, but at the same time questioning because nothing had created it to stop. So we deemed it on, my health was good, or I changed my diet habit, or I wasn't stressed anymore. I have been through a lot in the last 5 years. I had gained quite a bit of weight, happy in my relationship. Took a few years to get all the weight off and get healthy and where I wanted my body to be. And I did like a one-time post on Facebook about the process I went through. It was quite hard losing the weight and getting healthy and not frustrated and those types of things. I went through braces as an adult for 15 months, and I did a bi-weekly photo to help get through that and know that everything was moving in the right direction. So for this, I feel I really need to just talk about it because there's so much going through my mind and there's so much on the internet out there about it, and usually that's the terrifying thing, is going on Google and putting in your symptoms, and it usually tells you have cancer and you're probably going to die. So part of it is that I know what's wrong with me and I can search exactly what's wrong with me rather than what my symptoms are. So I guess I'll start there. About 2 weeks ago, started having those same old symptoms back from 1.5 years ago, but they were quite more pronounced and debilitating, I guess. Here's the TMI, get ready, because you can shut the video off at any time. I was having severe bloody diarrhea, and that was for about a week. I was still able to live my life, to get you on page with my life. I work 40 hours a week, and on top of that, I'm at the gym for about 10, whether it's gym or the dance studios that I go to. It's about 10 hours a week, sometimes 11, depending on how I feel, and between that, running errands, taking care of my house, spending time with my husband, my friends, co-workers, whichever. And so for the first week it was manageable, and I was uncomfortable and making a lot more trips to the washroom than normal, but other than that I was still able to live my life. And then it was just after Halloween that they got quite a bit more pronounced, and I had pain and a lot more discomfort and was going to the washroom a lot more and was preventing my regular everyday life. So it was about Tuesday, I believe that was the 4th of November, on Monday the 3rd, I went to walk-in clinic and kind of gave them a rundown of what symptoms I was having and the discomfort I was having, and they sent me for testing, and because of my file and my history, they said that there wasn't anything that they could do to give me, because it could make me worse and it can affect the testing. So, after waiting at walk-in clinic for about 2.5, 3 hours, I, left with paper, not a prescription, but testing, and knew I was at least going in the right direction. By the next morning, I went to work as per usual, 8 a.m., and within an hour, all morning, my gut instinct had told me that I need to go to the hospital, that something is wrong. My body, doesn't handle not being healthy, I guess, this way, and usually I'm able to get through it, push myself through it, go to work, do my regular things. I hadn't gone to the gym the night before because I was at walk-in, but I knew I wasn't going to be going to the gym that night. So I went to the emergency room on Tuesday, and of course they put me right in. Did the blood work and stuff that I had gotten the paperwork for the night before. Of course I had to do a stool sample, which is the first time I've ever had to do that, and that was no fun and kind of embarrassing, and going into descriptive stories about my stool with the nurse, and of course she's young and beautiful and healthy, hopefully, more healthy than me at that time. So waited in the ER for a little while, because it's the ER and I'm not admitted. There was a lot of activity in there, and a lot of other people who needed treatment a lot more than me, having a stomach ache and symptoms. I had a washroom there, so it was perfectly fine whether there or whether at work. So within those 5 hours of being ER on Tuesday the 4th, the doctor was quite sure that it was ulcerative colitis, but of course I needed to go through another colonoscopy to determine whether or not it was. My history showed my symptoms, now of course that they were more pronounced, showed as well. So they scheduled me for a colonoscopy. I had to wait to hear from a specialist, which in Canada unfortunately can take, years, and that's not exaggerating, because that's what I went through before when I was trying to be diagnosed. So I went back to work actually that day after being at the ER. I went back for an hour. Wednesday, went into work as well, and lasted quite a long time, in a lot of discomfort, and there were tears, and went and talked to my manager and told him, look, I'm really sick, and oh, that's another thing, I don't look sick. I look perfectly fine. I mean, it's 3 a.m. right now, so I might not look the best, but I don't look sick at all, and so now I'm finding out what having a chronic autoimmune disease on the inside feels like, and know that no one will be able to tell from my outside. That's kind of frustrating. Anyways, so I got a phone call after I left work early on Wednesday. I got a phone call from the specialist office saying that they wouldn't be able to get me in for a week. And I mean, in the long run, a week is not a lot, but in my life and having to shut everything down and put everything on hold, a week is a very long time and missing out on a lot of work. For me especially, I never miss work unless I'm on holidays, and so that was really upsetting. So of course I start crying on the phone with the specialist office, and for her kindness, she replaced me with somebody who hadn't been returning her calls and who maybe wasn't in as dire straits as I. So put me in for Friday morning, which is just enough time to start the prep for a colonoscopy. And I've had a colonoscopy before, part of my testing for a year and a half ago. I also went through a sigmoidoscopy, which, because you're not sedated or out or anything, it was probably the worst thing I'd ever been through. Except for now, of course. So started the prep on Thursday. Of course, I wasn't at work. They have a new type of prep where you have to drink 4 liters of Pegolite, and that was really tough because every fiber in your being is telling you to not drink it. I made a couple jokes, humor, best medicine, made a couple jokes that Dumbledore in the 6th movie, or the 7th book of, the 7th book of Harry Potter, where Dumbledore had to get down that potion so that they could find the fake Horcrux, and he was choking it down, and Harry Potter was having to make sure that he drank the whole thing, And that is exactly how I felt. And it's so awful to say, but that's my comparison and my little touch of humor for that. So Thursday, prep, and I've seen a couple e-cards about, oh, that prep tasted delicious, let's have some more. And, we've all been there, well, some of you. And so then Friday morning, starving, cranky, I'm a foodie, and I eat like anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 calories a day, because I just love food so much, hence why I go to the gym a lot. And so I'm starving, I'm hangry, but I'm just looking for answers. And, by this time, it's been 2 days, or 3 days, I guess, since the doctor told me he thought it was ulcerative colitis. Of course, I've been on the internet looking at ulcerative colitis, and all the symptoms made sense. It also said that you can go into remission for no reason, and so that would explain why the symptoms had stopped for about 1.5 years. It wasn't, an act of God. It was that it just was in remission. So it just made so much sense. And from what I've read, people get diagnosed under the age of 30, which I am. And all the symptoms were exactly what I was having this time around, and so I just told everyone, keep me in your thoughts, let them find it, so I can start treatment and management and those types of things. So then Friday went for my colonoscopy. Of course, for some reason, this 4 liters of Peglyte wasn't enough, so I had to go through an enema for probably the 5th time. I'm getting to be a professional. The nurse all said, you're young, but you know what you're doing when it comes to cleaning out your colon. So went through that, had the IV. I'm not a fan of IV. First time I ever had one, there was blood everywhere, and the nurse just said, uh-oh, and left. So that was my first experience with that. So I guess it gets better every time. And they put me in right away. They were waiting for me, and of course I was really upset about the sigmoidoscopy still. Even though for my first colonoscopy they put me right out, I don't remember a thing. I was sleeping, I had the best sleep of my life, and I wasn't any worse for wear. And so then this time around I just said to them, give me as much sedation as you did last time, because I just want to be out entirely. And they really reassured me, and unfortunately they told me that they were giving me the sedation, and I started to panic, and I said, this doesn't feel like last time, I'm awake right now. And then they kept saying to me, but did you remember it? Did you remember it? And I said, well, no, but this did not happen. I know it didn't. I know I didn't remember a thing. And unfortunately I did remember a good portion of the beginning of the colonoscopy, and there was a student nurse in there, bless her heart. She came in, was holding my hand, and I was crying. She brought me a Kleenex, and that's the last part I remember, so I don't know if they gave me more drugs or if the sedation finally came in. I do remember them saying that they had found it right away, so everyone, thinking about me and keeping them in their thoughts really helped, because I just wanted them to find it, and they didn't even have to do the full colonoscopy. They found it right away, which was really thankful. That's all I wanted, was to have an answer. Having the symptoms for 2.5 years and not getting a diagnosis was quite hard, even though the symptoms had gone away. And having them this time, I really just needed answers, because I just wanted to get back to my life. So they gave me a prescription for Pentasa. I've seen a lot of posts online about people having prednisone, which causes severe weight gain, which of course with my past is not something that I'm looking into. So I'm trying this. It's funny that one of the side effects of it causes diarrhea, which is what I'm being treated for. So I've been taking it since Friday evening, when I was able to eat my first full meal, and it doesn't seem to be helping so far. So it's Monday now, and I still have severe diarrhea, and I can't keep anything in for longer than maybe an hour is the longest, sometimes 20 minutes, depending on the day. Of course, because of my active lifestyle and how much I eat, I'm drinking about 3 to 3.5 liters of water a day. And right now that doesn't feel like enough, because I'm really dehydrated, and my extremities are cold, which I'm usually, a heater. I'm always warm. but now my hands, my feet are always cold. I have to assume it's a side effect. And just taking it day by day. I see my family doctor on Wednesday and see the specialist this week, with the holiday on Tuesday, probably between Wednesday and Friday, and hopefully get more answers there. I'm going to look into seeing probably a dietitian. Initially, my gut instinct said to go to a nutritionist, but I feel like a dietitian is more beneficial. I think, according to the Alberta Health Services website, you need a referral, so I'll probably get that either from the specialist or my family doctor this week, and go from there. Of course, like I said, I've been reading a lot online. Sorry, I just need some water. I've been reading a lot online about it. Created a Pinterest board for, humor, e-cards, those types of things. One of the funniest ones I like was, everyone always tells you to trust your gut, but have you seen my gut? I wouldn't trust that with a 10-foot pole or something. That is definitely me. That's right where I am. I'm definitely not trusting my guts. They're terrible right now. I had to give anything for healthy bowels. That was another one. All I want for Christmas is 2 front teeth, and forget that. I'd rather some healthy working bowels. So anyways, about the things I've been reading online, of course my symptoms all match it now because I have been diagnosed, and he didn't really give me any foods to avoid. This is my cat Lucy, for those of you who don't know. And so I've been reading a lot online, and the foods to avoid from a foodie are very upsetting. In the last couple months, I just started eating really, really healthy, including salads every day and fruit and vegetables throughout the day. And that there isn't anything online that says what causes ulcerative colitis, but there are definitely foods that don't help, and salads and fresh fruit and vegetables are definitely one of them. Seeds and stuff like that. So unfortunately online, as we all know, you can find whatever you want on there, and I have found different supporting things. So for dairy, some of them say to avoid dairy altogether, some of them say dairy helps with digestion. So that's something that I'm definitely going to have to question with the dietitian. Obviously everybody's going to be different, and that's something I'll have to monitor. Having lactose intolerance back when I was younger, it's probably something that I'm going to have to avoid, which I already was with milk. I'll have to adjust things like cheese and sour cream, and even like salad dressing I started reacting to, and that's something I never had before, so that's something I'll adjust to, get ranch out of my diet. A lot of the things online says to avoid fruit and vegetables, but the more I read, the more it's quite specific. So for fruit, you want to avoid ones with seeds, and for vegetables, you don't want raw vegetables because they're harder to digest. You want to be able to cut them with a fork. There's a couple of the tips I read online. Peels are really difficult, so no apple peels, potato peels, those types of things, which of course I both enjoy, so I'll have to cut that out. Popcorn is probably my biggest one. I'm a huge movie fan. We go to at least 1 movie a week, sometimes 3, depending on the week, and so popcorn is a big one for me. And that goes for corn in general. And for those of you who watched my braces bi-weekly photos, the first thing I did when I got them off was had 3 pieces of corn on the cob, and every year since I've kind of indulged in that, so that's going to be a hard one to get rid of. Of course, there's different foods to have during a flare-up, which I'm currently still having, or when you're in remission. The goal, of course, for ulcerative colitis is to be in remission. That is obviously my goal. Being just diagnosed on Friday and not having a follow-up with my specialist, I don't really know if that's something for me, if my symptoms are always going to be this way, and it's something I'm going to have to get used to and take medication to manage. For those of you who know me, I'm not somebody who takes medication I don't take Tylenol, I don't take Advil. At most I take a vitamin C pill this morning. I also don't believe in multivitamins. And with this, it's been told that you get vitamin deficiencies because, I don't know if it's because of the diet or because of what your body's going through, but there's vitamin deficiency. I think iron was one of them. And so then I'd have to take a supplement and introduce that into my diet, and that's not something I've ever believed in, for my own reasons. I don't want to get into that right now. I'm having to change my whole mindset, and I guess that's why I started this today, is because I've, been living a really healthy lifestyle and exercising and eating right, and sometimes that's not enough, and so that's something I have to mentally accept. Physically, I don't really obviously have a choice, but mentally I'm going to have to accept that my body wasn't meant to be healthy, and as much as I take care of myself, it could hurt myself, and it seems like how me eating healthy is kind of done. A couple other things I wanted to talk about. Right now, I basically get a few good hours a day. I never really know when those hours are going to hit, whether it's first thing in the morning or late morning, early afternoon. The trend has been the evenings are the worst, which really sucks because that's when my dance is. Evenings are really terrible. I feel like I get more sick to my stomach, which I don't generally feel. I kind of have a constant pain or constant discomfort, but never upset stomach, because obviously it's my bowels and my intestines that are affected, and not my stomach. So in the evenings I'm kind of ill, and having to deal with that, just wanting to go to bed early and get on to the next day, take it day by day. Right now work isn't really something I've been able to do. Looking into talking to the doctor and seeing if I can work from home. Not that being at home is any different from being at work, because it's just an office job. I also teach Zumba, and did teach one Zumba with these symptoms, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I did low impact, and luckily I only had 2 participants that day, and they both really benefited from the low impact, so I got really lucky that day. But I haven't been able to teach since, and I'm just wanting to get back to normal. So we'll see about getting back to work. I'm not the type of person to take a break. I'm not the type of person to take time off. So it's another thing, changing my mental state, because I'm constantly go, 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 and this is the first time I've had to slow down and really evaluate myself. Can you do this? Should you be doing this? Are you hurting yourself more? And it's funny because, working out and dancing 10 to 11 hours a week, so many people ask me, why do you do it? Or how do you do it? Or, I don't know how you're doing it. And I always said, I'm doing it until I can't do it anymore. And then, I was having a conversation with my grandma, and I realized, why would I do it until I can't do it anymore? Because this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. So now that mindset, again, is completely changed. It's not something I want to do until I can't do, because I can't do it right now, and it's hurting my heart not dancing. That's something I just started 3 years ago, and I feel lost without it, and empty. Even though I have so many other things to be thankful for, that is something that I've been able to express myself and get good, and so that's something I'm having a hard time not doing. And like I said, it's only been a couple weeks since I've had these pronounced symptoms. It's just to give you an idea of how my life is, and how busy it is, and how much I'm missing out on right now, I guess, is the only way I can describe it for you. Just looking at my list again here. So I guess right now my steps are that I'm waiting to talk to my specialist, hopefully getting with a dietitian, seeing my family doctor, hopefully getting my symptoms managed so that I can start working and getting back to my regular life, and changing the diet and doing that. So hopefully I'll post more about the diet, because I know everybody is different. And I read a couple video logs, and there was a lot of frustrated people out there with the same thing as I, so I'm trying to be a bit more positive in it, and I will be eating really healthy still. That'll be probably a challenge, even though a lot of things with ulcerative colitis, they want you to avoid pop and fried foods and caffeine, so no coffee, even though I just started drinking coffee about a year ago. I'll have to give that up. So even though there's a lot of really good foods, like fruit and hard raw vegetables that I'll have to avoid, there's also a lot of bad foods that I will definitely be avoiding, so I will still be eating really healthy. Just, those things that you give yourself an excuse to eat, like popcorn because you're at the movie, are some things that you'll have to remind yourself, do you ever want to feel like this again? Probably not. Even if you're in remission, there's always the opportunity for a flare-up, and so there are foods that you're going to want to ultimately avoid all the time. Also, fruit juice, you'd think would be something that you can enjoy, but only if there's no sweetener. So sugar is something that, from what I've read online, is something that we need to avoid, and that includes chocolate. Apparently chocolate is, a diuretic, and so that's something I'm going to have to get rid of. And my husband said to me after I read the popcorn thing, because the popcorn thing I've read on basically every website I've looked at is something to avoid, and so he said, well, I guess you'll have to find a different movie snack. And so then kept reading and found chocolate on a few other websites. I can maybe post something to my Pinterest page so you can see the websites I have been looking at. Obviously, there's so much out there in the internet world that I could find basically anything to support anything, or anything to go against anything. So this is just research that I've done on my own, not doctor mandated or anything, just on my own. I might get referred to more, but as we all know, we know how specialists are, and I thought that after my diagnosis, I got a pamphlet on my condition, which wasn't as informative as what I found on Wikipedia, of course, and they gave me a prescription, and so I wasn't given any foods to avoid until I saw him again. I mean, for them, it's a week until I see them again, but for me, that week is a lot of suffering, a lot of trips to the bathroom. Even I tried to go to a movie yesterday with my husband, and I had to leave in the movie, of course, even though I hadn't eaten in a few hours. That's another thing, is my mind is telling me, whatever you eat is going to make you sick right now. Do you really want to eat? But what I found, and for those of you who feel the same way, I have to go to the bathroom regardless of if I've eaten anything. So sometimes it makes it easier, sometimes it makes it harder. So keep eating, keep your fluids up. I guess that's all for today. It's about 4:08 now, so it's the longest video log I've ever done, also the only one I've ever done. So tell me what you think. Was it helpful for you? Did it help you understand my situation a bit more? Seeing as I don't look sick here, but I'm so sick inside, and doing my best to get better, and all the support I've been getting from family, friends, coworkers, of course my husband, has all been so great, and I just really felt like I needed to get it off my chest as best I could. And so hopefully you've enjoyed this, and we'll talk soon. And if you have any questions or anything, I don't really know about posting videos to the internet, but text me, Facebook me if you're a personal friend. If you're somebody who came across this video, I think you can put comments below, and we'll go from there. Alright, so thanks for listening, and have a great Monday.